The day our HOA demanded 10% of my salary, I thought it was a bad joke. But when I saw the notice taped to my front door with the president's signature in bold ink, I realized this wasn't a prank. It was a dictatorship right in my own neighborhood, dressed in yoga pants and drinking Starbucks. And I swore that if she wanted 10% of everyone's income, I'd make sure she paid back 100% of her dignity. My name's Jake Miller, and I live in a picture-perfect suburban community called Liberty Estates. You know the type: white fences, manicured lawns, and weekend BBQs where everyone pretends to like each other. Life was peaceful here until Karen Vaughn became HOA president. Karen was the kind of woman who turned neighborhood watch into neighborhood surveillance. Her hair was always perfectly sprayed into submission, her smile tight enough to slice glass, and her tone, well, if you've ever heard someone scold a puppy for breathing wrong, you get the idea. It started one Thursday night at the monthly HOA meeting. The air smelled like burnt coffee and frustration. People whispered about trash pickup schedules and mailbox colors, the usual nonsense. Then Karen stood up, cleared her throat, and dropped a bomb. Starting next month, she said, all residents will be required to contribute 10% of their income to the HOA's Community Development Fund. You could have heard a pin drop. Even the ceiling fan hesitated. Mrs. Dalton, my 70-year-old neighbor, blinked and asked softly, "Is she serious?" Karen smiled, slow, smug, the kind of smile that makes milk curdle, and said, "Completely. Sacrifice is patriotic. We're building a better community." People started murmuring, some laughing nervously, others furious. But Karen clapped her hands and said, "Meeting adjourned." Just like that. No vote, no discussion. She walked out like she'd just passed a law. The next morning an email arrived, a reminder to send payments to her personal PayPal link. Personal. PayPal. That's when I realized this wasn't about the neighborhood. This was about her. By the weekend, half the neighborhood had panicked and paid. The other half thought it would blow over. It didn't. Karen started sending out warning letters, official-looking, full of fake legal jargon, and posted a list of delinquents on the HOA bulletin board. My name was there, printed in bold red. Every time I passed it, I felt my blood boil. A few days later, she rolled up the street in a brand-new white Range Rover, waving like a queen. "Your contributions are due Friday," she shouted, holding a Starbucks cup probably bought with Mrs. Dalton's pension. It was absurd. But when I scrolled through her Facebook page that night, I stopped dead. There she was, sunbathing in Miami, cocktail in hand, captioned, "Community leadership deserves a reward." That was the moment I knew. She wasn't just greedy, she was stealing. I started collecting everything: screenshots, emails, pictures of her car, even a video of her berating a war veteran for refusing to pay. "You'll thank me later when your property value triples," she'd said, wagging a manicured finger. She had turned our HOA into her personal pyramid scheme. Still, I hesitated. I kept asking myself, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this money is going somewhere. Maybe she really believes she's helping the community. But that illusion shattered when I saw a new gold sign at the entrance that read, "Karen's Community." Subtle right. That night I stared out my window at the HOA office lights, feeling helpless. I'm just one guy, I thought. She's got the power, the connections, the fake lawyers. What could I even do? I almost gave up. Then Mrs. Dalton came over with a plate of cookies and said something I'll never forget. "Evil wins when good people stay quiet." That hit me harder than any fine or threat. The next morning I started knocking on doors. Quietly, carefully. By the end of the week, 12 neighbors had joined me. Each one angry, each one holding their own piece of evidence: bank transfers, receipts, photos. One guy even had proof Karen used HOA funds for a $6,000 spa treatment in Beverly Hills. We didn't call ourselves heroes. We were just tired of being bullied. Then fate handed me a golden ticket. Karen announced a community appreciation gala to celebrate the HOA's financial growth. Tickets were mandatory, $50 a head, cash only, straight to her. I smiled when I read the flyer. "Oh, Karen, you have no idea what stage you just built for yourself." I volunteered to help with the slideshow for the event. She agreed, of course. Power-hungry people love volunteers. They think you're there to serve them. But that slideshow, I replaced every picture of her projects with the evidence we'd gathered: screenshots of her PayPal selfies from Miami, invoices from her spa, everything. I even added a few sarcastic captions for flavor. When the night of this gala came, Liberty Estates had never looked more fake. The clubhouse was dripping with gold balloons, a rented red carpet at the entrance, and a sign that said, Karen's Community Appreciation Night. Everyone showed up smiling tight smiles, pretending not to hate her. Karen entered wearing a bright pink sequin gown that shimmered under the lights. She took the mic, her voice sugary sweet. Welcome, my loyal homeowners. Thanks to your generous donations, our neighborhood is becoming a model for the entire state. I was standing near the laptop pretending to adjust the sound system. My heart pounded so loud I could barely hear her. When she turned to her assistant and said, "Play the video, Tim," I whispered gladly. The first slide appeared on the projector. The title read, HOA Contributions, Self-Care Since Day One. At first, no one reacted. Then came the next slide, a PayPal receipt to Karen Vaughn Memo Line Community Fund. Then another her Miami trip photo captioned, Hard work deserves luxury. Gasps filled the room. Someone shouted, That's my money. Another yelled, She used our dues for Botox. Karen froze, her fake smile cracking. Turn it off, she hissed. Tim panicked, but I had locked the controls. The slides kept rolling, bank statements, pay bills, screenshots of her social posts, each one worse than the last. Karen lunged for the laptop, but I stepped in front of it. Don't, I said quietly. You wanted transparency, right? Flashes exploded. Reporters I'd tipped off were already recording. Cameras clicked. The crowd turned into chaos. Karen screamed, This is defamation. You'll all regret this. But the next slide showed her Beverly Hills surgery receipt totaled $6,842. The crowd erupted. People booed, others chanted, Refund, refund. Someone threw a drink orange punch splattered across her gown. She tried to yank the projector plug, but it was battery-powered. The slideshow went on relentless like karma with PowerPoint. By the time the police showed up to calm the scene, Karen's perfect hair was dripping with punch, her mascara streaked down her face. The whole thing was live-streamed, over 400,000 views overnight, under the hashtag HOA Queen of Greed. The next morning, news vans parked outside our gates. Karen posted a shaky video online crying, claiming she was misunderstood. But nobody was buying it. The IRS and county auditors showed up before noon. I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, as they marched up her driveway with warrants. She tried to close her garage door, but they stopped it halfway. Moments later, they carried out boxes of fake invoices, handbags, and luxury receipts. By the afternoon, an emergency HOA meeting was called without Karen, obviously. Doug, the quiet vice president, stood up and read from a stack of papers. We've uncovered over $180,000 in unauthorized transactions. The room went dead silent. Then from outside, the tow truck arrived. Karen's white Range Rover, her suburban throne, was being hauled away. The driver even winked at me as he drove off. And then finally the image I'll never forget. Karen Vaughn, once Queen of Liberty Estates, being escorted out in handcuffs, screaming, "This is a witch hunt." No, Karen, this was justice. The meeting ended with a unanimous vote to remove her and freeze her accounts. As people filed out, I sat there for a moment, just breathing. The adrenaline was still pounding in my ears, but the fear, the helplessness was gone. For the first time in months, the neighborhood was quiet, peaceful, real. Karen demanded 10% of everyone's income. In the end, she lost 100% of her reputation. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's simple. Power doesn't corrupt people. Unchecked, power invites them to show who they really are.